Alrighty, welcome to Supernatural Signals, My Haunted Journal edition. I hope everyone is getting ready for a great new year and winding down the holidays. I am just relaxing playing video games, or I'm trying to relax and play video games, but they're not going so good for me for Hollows Night. So I'm just eagerly awaiting Reanimals, which I think is out February 13th. So I'm very excited about that. But anyway, if you're new here, this series is where I just kind of do a dump of what's on my mind, especially leans towards the supernatural, and then just do life updates as well as anything updated on the channel and things like that. Um, Today, I'm going to kind of focus on a recap of just general stuff that's been happening supernatural wise in my life as of this year, since it is 2025. Before I do that, I did want to touch some updates on the channel. The first update that I have is, um, excuse me, is that I am working on a short that should be out soon. And then I'm also working on a longer form video. So those should be out soon. So if you enjoy my shorts, that'll be out soon. And if you enjoy my longer video content, that'll be out as well. Um, but to say all that, any other updates? No, I think that's it for right now as far as the channel goes. But yeah, so let's get into a 2025 recap as far as supernatural activity. And I actually had quite a bit of activity kind of starting in the summer. So again, if you're new here, hopefully I can stop saying this in 2026, but in 2023, I kind of had a spiritual awakening, and with that came a lot of supernatural activity. I experienced mimics. I experienced for the first time. I experienced, and not only hearing them, but actually seeing one at my front door, which is a video for another day. But mimics, ghostly figures, shadows, a whole lot of things. Um, Weird things happening. Um, that shouldn't be happening. TVs changing channels. I kind of talked about it in my previous videos, but maybe one day I will do a whole topic on that. But for right now, I kind of want to leave that behind. But that's the summation of me. Prior to 2023, I believed in the supernatural, but I was a very big skeptic. I still am, because I think you have to have a skeptical viewpoint in the world today, especially with social media. But I but after 2023 and 2024 and even 2025, no one can convince me otherwise, that supernatural activity is not real. So that's kind of my background. So with that said, like I said, kind of January to, like, I would say June. I didn't early June. I didn't have much activity from my recollection. It's been a crazy year, so if I'm not good with timelines. Let's just put this out there. So if I get dates wrong, it's not because I mean to. It's just timelines just don't work for me. Um, Never have been great on that. But as a general encompassness, I kind of want to go over some stuff that's been happening to me since basically the summer of this year. I'm going to kind of do this in categories. So, like objects moving and shadow figures, mimics, and things like that. Um, the first thing I kind of want to go over is objects moving without a clear cause. So that happened to me multiple times. I did record them in my haunted journal entries. Um, and there's kind of the most concrete experiences. So one time my laptop was pushed over while you were nearby with no obvious explanation. So it was just sitting on a flat surface, and all of a sudden tumbled and my laptop got cracked. It was kind of funny though, because the way it got cracked, it had a picture of my cat Boo. And the way it got cracked was it like sprawled, almost like giving her like little angel wings. And she passed away in 2024. Which I'm still sad about. But she was my best buddy. But it was kind of interesting the way it like cracked. It like literally looked like, because I had a picture of her on the main screen, it like gave her little angel wings, and it just, I don't know. I know that sounds weird, but I feel like that's how the universe works sometimes. So that's kind of the first thing that happened. Um, Then, well, not the first thing, but that's one of the things that happened. And then also a vase falling over despite it being stable and untouched. So it was like the vase is one of those vases that sits on the floor and it's on the other side of my bed. And I was on the right hand side of my bed and I was just doing something over there. And then all of a sudden the vase toppled over. Um, and then I've also been having a lot of activity for some reason in my bathroom. And this has been throughout. I've been hearing like knocks in the bathroom, weird sounds. My cat and my dog will just kind of like stare at my bathroom and sometimes slowly creep out backwards. And I had a cleaner for your toilet. I forget the exact word, like bleach for your toilet, just topple over. I was in my room. It was standing on the toilet, I think, actually on the top of the toilet, and it just toppled right over. No one touching it. It was there for days. It just fell over, and it's not like there's a bunch of wind blowing in the bathroom. There's not even a window close by. It's a bathroom, or to be open. So that happened. Um, and then as far as other activities, specifically my room, I said this in many videos before we got Buddy, but Kitty sleeps in my bed, and me and my boyfriend will be sleeping in bed. And this has been happening since the summer. I don't remember the exact time it started, but there'll be like light pushing on my bed to the point where I think Kitty's getting up to go use the restroom. She has her little stairs, and I will feel like there's light pushing in my bed to the point that I think she's leaving, and I'll be like joking with him, like, "Oh, Kitty's gotta go potty, baby." And he's like, "Oh goodness." And um, um, then sorry, I had to plug in my laptop. Um, but then then I turn around and she's sleeping on top of her head, so she didn't even get up. So it's very weird, and it's not even just like a slight like little bump. It's like very apparent, and that's been happening on and off. It happened this week as well, so that has been happening a lot. Um, then some other things I want to mention. Buddy will be his own category when he got here, but I did notice shadow figures near my bed. Now, I've been noticing shadow figures since 2025, and I'm so used to it that I don't even like think about it. The first time I saw it was in, I think, the end of 2023. I got DoorDash and I went down, and there was just this like black smoke that just like disappeared. And since then, I just see it on and off. It hasn't been for a moment, but it's been um, I think the last time I saw something like that was probably almost a month ago, 2 week. I would say about 3 weeks ago, I guess, around there. Um, but then, as far as shadowy, but during the summer, I did see two shadowy cat shaped figures near my bed. They were like over top of me, and they looked like they didn't have details, but they looked like the shapes of the cats, right? And they weren't aggressive or anything like that, but they were just present. And I was kind of like half asleep, half awake when it was happening, and they were just like hovering over my bed. I had something like that happen to me, and I guess like a night terror, which maybe I'll tell you that later, but that was during COVID, so that was a while ago. Um, um, Also, I've been experiencing glitches. One glitch, the biggest one, would be my PayPal experience, where long story short, I had a PayPal card in 2024. I lost said PayPal card. I know I lost said PayPal card because I was very mad about it. I checked everywhere for it. I couldn't find it. And so I ended up just being like, screw it. And I got another debit card for my bank and just gave up on the PayPal card, didn't use PayPal card. Then when I moved recently here and I got a new purse, new wallet, like I cleaned out the old thing. There's just no way. Okay. And then I opened up a new PayPal account, got a new card, and then went through my purses, only had one card. And then, like a month or so after that, I went through my purse and my old PayPal card was in there from the one that I lost like a year from there ago. It was so bizarre. Like, that is probably the biggest glitch I've ever had. I've had other glitches, but I'll save those for another date. But that Glitches drive me crazy. I don't know why. They timeline stuff freaks me out. So that was like probably my biggest glitch this year. And then we're going to kind of move on into buddy category. And I'm probably sure I'm missing some stuff, but I don't want to make this video too long because I also have some true crime updates I want to touch on. And like I said, I have my I'll put my um, haunted journal updates linked below so you can look at those as well. But then Buddy came along. Now we got Buddy in August, and I've said this in pretty much every one of my videos. Buddy is a very sensitive dog. He's sensitive in the sense of like when he doesn't know people, he'll shrink. We just got him groomed and his nails cut. So, when I brought him in, just to give you an idea of his personality, he's a little pit bull. Well, I say little, but he's my little baby. But he's a pit bull, and me and my boyfriend were driving home, and we saw him in 100-degree heat, and he wasn't in the best shape. He was underweight, and um, for some reason had like a big belt around his neck, and he had some like scars on them. We think there might have been tasers. We don't know, but he's there something was going on with him, right? So we found him. We tried to find if he did have an owner. He didn't have a microchip, and honestly, in that type of state, you kind of wonder who had him before. So we did try and find their owners just to be respectful, but that didn't work out. And now he's ours. So when he's around new people, he shrinks down. He's very cautious. He's very like, hi, I'm Buddy. Like, but he loves his family. He loves his home. And he's a big homebody. And I'll give you for an instance, like today I was taking him on a walk, and we were walking, someone was doing construction or on their roofs. They were doing something on the roof. And when we were walking, Buddy saw that and he turned right around and like hobbled right straight, tried to get back home. And we went right back home. I was like, well, do you want to go a different direction? He just want to go straight home. He gets like nervous around, I guess, I don't know. He saw people throwing things off a roof and he was like, that's it. I'm going home. He just shrinks down and just wants to go home, right? He doesn't want anyone thing. He's just like, let's go, mommy. He kept looking back at me, making sure I was coming. That's his personality. And besides all that, when it pertains to the personality, like he's a big, very sensitive. And when I say sensitive, not just in that predicament with humans and stuff, but he's very in tuned into the supernatural. There will be days where he will just sit outside on our deck. We have like a deck by a lake, and he will just sit on that lake and just stare out into the water for hours, like or at least a good hour, just stare. And it could be day or night. And I'll be like, come on, let's go play. Or sometimes we'll be in the middle of the playing and all of a sudden he'll just stop and just stare and then just go straight back inside. He will do it in the front yard and he will do it in the backyard. And it doesn't matter what time of day it is. Some days he doesn't even want to go out. He'll creep out and then he won't. Another example of him like seeing activity is in my bedroom. He will stare at walls. It seems like he gets scared of the dark. Sometimes he sleeps in our living room because he loves to sleep on the couch. But there are some nights he will just bash into my room and like almost hide under the covers. Because I have like a little blankie for him. And then he tries to hide. There's blankets for him on the couch, and I will see, and it looks like he's like underneath the blankets. Um, the other day, actually, I was in the living room and kind of closing up for the night. And I let Buddy out, and we always keep the door open a little crack so the door's not wide open, but he can just like push through and get in when he's done potting for the night, right? And so that's kind of a routine. And the other day I did that, and I went into the living room and I saw that he bashed down the door and went inside like normal. And all of a sudden he turned to the wall where like the fireplace is in our living room or in the living room, and he just made this like cry, like a little baby, he's like 2 or 3 years old per the vet, and he sounded like a puppy. And then he didn't want to sleep in the living room, he wanted to sleep with me. And that's when I can tell he's like not he's scared. And he will do the same things with the bathroom. Kitty notices things too. She's very in tuned as well. She'll stare at walls or things like that. But Buddy is like, it's crazy. And I think just because he's bigger and he has a bigger presence, but it's like I don't know how to explain it. And there are days when he just doesn't want to take a walk at all, and he loves walks. But there are days where he's just like, nope, I'm not going for a walk. I am staying at home. And like, yeah, so that's just kind of his personality. Also, I did think of other stories while I was doing this. I actually just uploaded a short kind of about hearing the sound, and that reminded me of more things that happened throughout this year. I know it sounds like a lot, but if you put it all this stuff didn't just happen all at once, right? It's just throughout my days and throughout the weeks and stuff. And the reasons I document it is because I will forget, right? And so being able to look back and seeing what I've experienced it and kind of like put things together and trying to figure out what is going on, because I know something is going on. I feel like this is helpful. So, this is a lot for me too, not just for you too. All right. So, going on from that, the other topic I wanted to discuss was there's three more. One was there was a time when I was trying to fall asleep and I kept hearing this guitar tune that kept playing over and over and over again. I thought the neighbors were having a party and were playing like low key music, like guitar music. It was nonstop. My boyfriend couldn't hear it. No one else in the house could hear it. Um, and, I mean, my boyfriend believed me, and it only happened this one time, but it was maddening, and that's why it reminded me of the Tao's humming video that I just put out on a short, because it was just it just wouldn't stop, and I would hear it like underneath like my bed, and then I would hear it on the top of my bed and like the ceiling, and that's another thing. And so that drove me crazy. And like I said, all these will be linked down below. And finally it stopped, and then I just slept the rest of the day. But it was the weirdest thing. I literally went into my poor boyfriend was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like in the hall, I'm like, "What is that sound?" like and so finally I got sleep. But yeah, that was interesting. And then and then after that, and then that also reminded me of just like a week ago, my boyfriend and I again were falling asleep, and I heard like this thud, and I've heard it before, but this one was more apparent, and this one actually scared me because it was pitch black out because I had the TV off, and it was late at night, and like I said, we live by a forest area, so there's not a lot of street lamps, and I heard a thump, and the house is a one story. There's no attic, there's no thing above me, right? So whatever was thudding is like impossible, right? There's nothing above me, right? Except for the roof. So that was weird. And that one actually scared me. Normally when all this stuff kind of happens, I get like creeped out, but that one actually like made me like run to my boyfriend basically. Um, but because it was just out of nowhere. So, and then the other one I wanted to touch on was I was hanging out with Buddy on the couch because in the evenings he likes to stare out this window where the the couch is like an L shape, and in the corner of it, it's just like perfect for him to lay his little head on and like look out the window and spy, right? And so sometimes I sit with him and snuggle with him while he does that. And I did that one time, and he started barking because there was a car, and I didn't know what it was. At first I thought it was like an emergency car because it was in front of the neighbor's house, and it was getting late, but it turned out just to be UPS. And so he was barking at that, and then the car did a turnaround because, or the truck, I guess, did a turnaround because we live on a cul-de-sac. Well, when it was turning around, there was an animal that darted from like the forest area, and it was like this black, but I couldn't make out what it was. It just looked like an animal, but it was like kind of like blacky and again smoky. It's the best way I can describe it. It darted out, and I noticed it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, the car's gonna hit the little animal!" And then the animal, before the car even got near it, just dissipated into the middle of the street, just gone. And I like I said, it's dark there where you're like, okay, Carol, maybe you just didn't see it. No, there was like enough light in the middle of the cul-de-sac to see the little black thing, and it just dissipated into the dark. It was the weirdest thing. Um, and then the last thing I'm going to say is I saw a glitch of a house, which this was recent. It was in a new haunted journal. where I was sitting there again, the same spot where Buddy was. And like I said, I just like to peer out the window with Buddy. And I swear the same neighbor's house that I saw the UPS truck at glitched. It literally moved. Like it shifted and then shifted back really quick. I don't know how to describe it. That's all it was. I take it for what it is. It glitched and then glitched back. I tried to do the eye thing because you know when you move like close one eye and the other eye, like things kind of like move forward and back. I tried that because I was like, maybe that's what I did. I just blinked weird or something. No, it was not the same effect. The house literally shifted and then shifted back. It was very strange. I've never seen anything like that. But other than that, yeah, I did hear some mimic voices. I heard someone that's usually in the house while they were at work, and it was kind of impossible and for him to make that noise, and I heard it, and um yeah, and I just kind of ignored it because like I said, 2024 and 2023, I experienced my fair share of mimics, and so my best thing with that is just ignore it. And I when I'm telling all this, it sounds so crazy, and it sounds like if someone's listening to this, they're probably, unless they're really in tune with the supernatural or get it themselves. I know it sounds like a lot, but this is a full year, right? So it's not like everything was happening. It's not like I have poltergeist throwing things and all this crap. It just adds up, and I'm very in tune now since my spiritual awakening of the stuff that like you would make an excuse for, right? It's almost like opening up your inner child in that sense where it's like, no, no more excuses. Like this is really happening. And so when I do hear mimics, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, a mimic. I'm just like, what the fuck, bro? Like, and obviously there's probably stages of mimics and things I don't understand yet about it, but I'm not going to go in the kitchen and start searching for a mimic, right? I, I know I sound bizarre to people that are into it, but I'm assuming if you found my channel, you are into this stuff. And again, take this from someone before 2023. I was not someone that was ghost hunting. I was not someone thing. I just would watch YouTube videos once in a while, paranormal. I would watch ghost adventures, but I wasn't someone that was going ghost hunting. It was like an afterthought. I was more into true crime. So keep that in mind in my background. But after 2023, if you say you're lying or you ghosts don't exist, or I'm just gonna stare at you, and be like, all right, bro, you'll learn, or you won't. Either way, it doesn't bother me. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of in a nutshell of where I'm at. So right now, it's a lot of activity in my bed and a lot of activity in like the forest and the lake area that we live by, which makes sense because I feel like, I don't know, I won't go into all that, but it makes sense if you know stuff about spirits. Um, I do kind of wonder, there is one part of me that hopes the activity I'm having in my bed is Boo. Boo is my cat that I mentioned earlier in this video that passed away. Um, and it's kind of funny because a lot of activity happens in the closet because you have to walk by the closet to get to the bathroom area, and that's where a lot of the times Buddy kind of gets shooken and like thing. And I did have her ashes there, so who knows? I don't know how that works, but we shall see. Um, but as far as the outside stuff, I don't think that's Boo at all. I think that's something darker, but that's just my opinion. Because it scares my buddy. Alrighty. So with that all said, I'm gonna move into a little bit more resolutions. I know I mentioned in my last video I kind of went over like 2025 and what I was grateful for and what I learned and what I'm going to hope for to learn in 2026. But I also wanted to add, I kind of like had a talk with HG. Again, he's one of my friends who's into the supernatural, and just kind of like giving up more, like, there was something I did in like my private time and like thing, and I'm kind of not giving it up, but I'm taking a long break for it, and it was something like I really enjoyed and felt like it was helpful. But it's one of those things where it's like it probably was helpful to other people, and I enjoyed it. So you would think, well, it's helpful and you enjoy it. But at the end, it always gave me a bad aftertaste, right? Like, like when you eat something yummy and you're like, oh, this is really good. And then it gives you that bad aftertaste. And it's like, well, I'm sick of the aftertaste, so I'm not going to eat it anymore. That's kind of like what it is. I'm not going to go into details of what I'm talking about, but I'm just going to go throughout my journey and update and see if that's going well. Like I said, it's not like I'm going to give it totally up. It's just something that I'm going to take a little break from. And then when I do, it's going to be a different route, right? Because I'm learning as I'm going on certain things, just like everyone else is, and adapting accordingly. And then when I come back and do it, hopefully it's something I really love again because I'll have a better grasp of it and not feel intimidated or feel boxed in a corner and feel defensive, right? And, so I'm going to try to do it go cold turkey on it for at least 3 months and then do a check in and see how I feel and maybe do another 3 months after that. But we'll see. Um, Apparently there's no rush in the supernatural world. So I've been told. But, and the other thing I want to focus on is I don't know. I know I mentioned Kermie a lot. He's my boyfriend, but I think both me and him have this habit of always feeling that we have to perform or help or do certain things, both in our just human life and spiritual life and things. And both me and him agreed that we just need to kind of like during that break, kind of just, really focus on us and our own spiritual journey a little bit. And I don't know. I sometimes I feel like, you never know what's going on in the background, right? Like I think some people think I don't know. I mentioned this before with his work and everything like that, but it's one of those things where I've totally forgot to mute the TV. Oh my God. I hope y'all couldn't hear that. I've had a TV show playing. Sorry if you hear this throughout this whole thing. I'm going to mute it right now. But I knew I was forgetting something. Um, but, um, but yeah, so I think we're just kind of like focus on, what's next for us a little bit and then, focus on other things, right? Because I feel like we always feel like we have to go, 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 whether people see it or not. And I feel like we need to be intentional. And we already started doing that, like going on more dates and things like that. But I think we need to be more intentional, just being like, you know, our days are for us, right? Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the beginning of 2023. That's our goal. So I'll keep you updated if that's going well. And then the last thing I kind of want to close out on is a little bit of sorry, someone randomly called me. I have no idea who you are. Leave me alone. All right, I think it's just spam. Okay. All right, so um let me switch over. We're gonna switch over real quick. We're gonna close this out with some true crime because, like I said, I do get into true crime a little bit. So let me touch on that before we close this out. Okay, so the first case I want to touch on is the David case or the Celeste Hernandez case, rather, which it did progress quite a bit this week. Some updates as of today was a grand jury is moving toward indictment. Multiple outlets report that a Los Angeles County grand jury is now expected to indict David on murder charges related to the death of 14-year-old Celeste, which again, I still can't believe she was 14. It just boggles my mind. 14-year-old Celeste Hernandez. Prosecutors are presenting evidence and testimonies with the aim of formal charges. So it looks like he is going to get indicted. Witnesses, including associates connected with David, have testified. So it looks like people are, they're getting their witnesses in order, which I think is going to be extremely interesting. Prosecutors believe they have evidence strong enough to justify charging him. I'm sure with the holidays and everything like that, things probably have been a little delayed, but this has been the update. And again, just in case you're new to the allegations, authorities allege that Riviera's decomposed body was found in the front trunk of a Tesla registered to David on September 8th of 2025. Investigators believe the death was a homicide, and there are indications more than one person may have been involved. It sounds to me like she was deceased long before she was found. Let's put it that way. Sorry, I don't. It's very emotional case. Uh, Reports from international outlets also indicate prosecutors are poised to file murder charges as part of a major shift in the case handling. So again, there's no formal announcement, but this is uh, the updates, and there's been no formal cause of death, but obviously it had to be some kind of homicide for them to be doing this type of case. And David has not said anything himself. And it's still so crazy to me that when her body was found, he was still going on tour. And if you know anything about his music and the way he performs, it just really bad luck, dude. Really bad luck. Vile's the right word I can say about that. And the sad thing is, no one in his group said anything. No one, not even about what happened with the homicide, but before all that, messing around with a minor like that, and no one in his camp said anything. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I hope in the new year she gets justice really quickly. All right. So moving on. Okay. And then I want to touch briefly on the Reiner case. As of today, December 31st, 2025. Um, just to let people know, apparently the children are coping with family and support. Um, Romy, who was the one that found her dad, recently marked her 28th birthday. About 2 weeks after their deaths, and they're grieving, and they've been spotted out, or one of their sons, Jake, has been spotted out. And obviously, you know, what can you say? Like, just me saying I hope they're okay, I mean, is not gonna change anything. So, but I hope people respect their privacy. Let's put it that way. That's why I kind of jumped on that. Like, I hope people respect their privacy here. Um, that's what I'm gonna say on that. But as far as Nick goes, the couple's youngest son has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with the stabbing death of his parents. So he is without bail right now, and his next arraignment is going to be January 7th. So that's coming up quite quickly, within a week, in Los Angeles. And they might be seeking life in prison or the death penalty, with given the circumstances. So that is a lot. But the death penalty, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, it feels like it takes years and years because they have so many appeals to get there. I think it's more with the death penalty for me. It's like they're not in a good situation, right? They're literally in a cell the rest of their life, right? There's barely any like coming out of the cell. Like, I think that's almost the more torturous part. As far as my belief in the death penalty, it's just something that I don't advocate for. But I understand families that do, right? I'm not in that situation, but that's just my stance on it. But for me, I feel like the more torture of it is the fact that you're sitting in a cell by yourself with your own thoughts about your crime for the rest of your existence, right? And then you're just being teased about, oh, you're gonna die now. No, we're gonna extend it. No, no, this is the date. Oh, we're gonna appeal. Like, that must be mine effing in its own. So we'll see where that goes. Um, and obviously, I think the defense team is probably going to try and go for insanity. That's what I've last heard, but we shall see. But yeah, that's another rough case, and yeah. Um, so that's what's been going on with that case, and I'll keep you updated. And then finally, I wanted to touch on the Slender Man case with Morgan Geyser. Just to keep you updated, she did have conditional release in a home, and then she ran away from that said home back in late November, and now is back in custody. She was found. Um, and so, as of December 2025, a judge in Waukesha County revoked Geyser's conditional release following her escape, which means she will no longer be able to stay in the group home or under supervised release, and is being ordered back in the state psychiatric hospital under original commitment. And it sounds like she's going to be in there for the rest of her sentence, which was 40 years, which I bet she's kicking herself in the face. I think that, again, that case is sad, and I think she should have. I don't know. It's like hard to like. At least no one else got hurt when she left. I will say that at least no one else got hurt. Um, but it's you know I don't know. It's crazy how people think. She. I don't think she was thinking rationally, because you got off lucky, right? You got off lucky in the sense that you only had to do a minimum of your time, and then, you know, you blew it. So that's what's going on with that. I don't think there's going to be much updates. I think she's just going to serve her sentence. So yeah, um, yeah. So that's what's going on with that. But I think this is the longest video I've made on this channel. So if you did listen in, thank you so much. I know it's a lot, but I think Kermie and I are just going to again have a low key holiday at home like we did for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And probably I think we're gonna watch Good Morning. I think it's called. We'll try and see if that's on. If not, we'll find something else. Oh, or not if it's on, but if we're able to watch it, because I don't know if we have the app for it. I have to figure that out. But other than that, I hope everyone, if you can't tell, I am sleepy. So I think we're going to chill, but I hope everyone has a great new year and I hope everyone moves into the new year with good energy and happiness and take care of yourself. Um, but yeah, I think we're going to just eat popcorn and watch TV. So that's all. Anyway, thank you for watching. And as always, stay curious and stay tuned into the supernatural. Thanks for watching.